When did you realize your friends were actually fake friends? A lot of so-called friends aren't real friends. They're more like acquaintances. People you know and are civil with. There's at least one that is fake though. He or she has you in their life solely to benefit from. It can be financially, it can be emotionally. It can just be because he or she thrives on your failures. Some people keep you around as something to gawk at. Harsh but true. When school ended, the last one friend stopped texting me 2 months later. Never heard from them again. When I went bankrupt. Edit, lost 2 million in net worth. Both my homes. The comments below tell the story. I learned the hard way. Who my friends were. And who were no friends at all. When I didn't have something they all desired. Something they could use me for. My real friends came around regardless of what I had. For me, it was when I got in some deep trouble and they all just cast me aside without even giving it a second thought. I realized this when I invited all of them to go to the movies with me and they all said they couldn't go. I then found out through one of them that they went to see that movie the same day, and when I asked then why they didn't tell me they were going, they said, "We just wanted to go together." Shit broke my heart. When they made off with large amounts of my money and involved me in complex legal disputes which I could have gone to prison for. When I ran out of cocaine. During a pandemic where I've only heard from a few people. When they walked past me crying and pretended I didn't exist. When I went through a divorce and was down to $700, most difficult period, and weeded out all those who friended me for my generosity because I was well settled. Started over and have like 2 true good friends. Edit, thank you all for your well wishes and wisdom-filled comments. Incredible how sometimes you get more support and well wishes from strangers than folks who led you to believe to be your well wishers. Smile. When you lose your worth to them. For instance, you are going through a dark period in your life, then they just leave like you are a worthless bag of dust. Friends aren't the people who come out to those big parties and events in your life. They're the ones that want to hang out for no reason on any random day. People that make excuses to not get together just for nothing, or never reach out to hang, are not real friends. I could not say anything to them without them turning it into a fight over one thing or another. Culminated with them attempting to cancel me before they finally disappeared from my life. Once high school ended, I heard about all the rumors they made up about me. For some reason he stole a hoodie from me when we were hanging out. I knew it was him. He denied it, but I faked that I would tell my dad that he stole my hoodie. He called me a spoiled rich bitch and said it was a prank/dare and told me he would give it back. He did. Then he asked my other friend to tell me that he dared him to steal my hoodie. My parents found out about due to the fact that my other friend's mom checks his phone regularly, who told my mom. Whenever we were supposed to hang out, something came up and that something was hanging out with other mutual friends. This was quite a few years ago. My ex and I were really friendly with another couple. Did a ton of stuff together. Then they moved, not far, and fairly shortly after my ex and I separated. They hung out with me for a few months but then stopped calling. A few years later, I ran into both of them at a race, an ultra marathon, and they both pretended like they didn't know me. That was actually a really painful moment. When I specifically set aside time for them every week during their day off, when they thought that was a great idea, and then 3 weeks passed without us doing a single thing. When I am always the one bringing up ideas and suggestions to hang out. When I'm always the one engaging in friendship and conversation. When another person starts butting into our friendship and my so-called friend suggests doing things with this new person that I suggested, then turns to me and says all 3 of us like I'm a fucking afterthought. They would invite each other to places in front of me and not include me in the slightest. When I ditched them they didn't know how to take it, lol. When I broke up with my long-term boyfriend, the guy I thought had been my best friend of 3 years gave me 2 weeks before saying, "Is it my turn yet?" Fucking garbage. When we fucked and he basically wanted nothing to do with me afterwards. 2 years of what I thought was a friend thrown away for bad dick and 20 seconds of disappointment. One friend stopped replying to my texts right after we graduated from college. Like the same week we graduated. So, I was pretty much just a study buddy that they kept close to keep me helping them. When I realized that Discord bot is a bot. When I stopped paying for their expenses. They vanished. When you try to open up and try to share a genuine conversation about something going on in your life and all they can do is crack jokes and try to get you to go out drinking with them. Made me realize how surface level many friendships really are. Then you have the opposite of that, 3 guys I've known since I was a freshman in high school. Been friends for over 15 years. Have stayed in touch through all of us getting married, having kids, and moving to completely separate areas or the country. Yet whenever we're within an hour of each other we always make a point to get breakfast and catch up. This usually turns into 3+ hour conversations. This may only happen once or twice a year, but I consider those guys my best friends. That's real friendship and I'm fortunate to have them. When my best friend decided to move across the country with my boyfriend, but needed me to drive them there because they had bought a stick shift and didn't know how to drive it. Deleted. When one of them joke added me to a group chat that was made just to make fun of me but it actually went through and I got to see it all. Guys that I've known for like 8 years were out there acting like little homophobic middle schoolers. Shit hurt. You can tell which friends don't really care when you stop texting them first. Radio silence. I was wondering why the house was so quiet in the morning, didn't hear anyone move about in their rooms or come through the front door. Lunchtime passed and I realized that they all had gone. They come back in the evening after spending a day at the beach together. I died a little inside but I didn't get sunburn so I had that going for me. When my flatmate and best friend of 4 years left me with about 1.5k of his debt to pay on the flat when he bailed to living in his home country during the pandemic. I was pissed for a whole but then I figured 1.5k is a bad price to pay to realize he wasn't the friends I thought he was. When I traded in my truck for a smaller more eco-friendly vehicle, communication plummeted now that I can't haul furniture around, assist with moving as much, dispose of garbage, etc. Vex and stuff. For me it was like it was for Stratabits. Only I didn't go bankrupt. I intervened 3 guys assaulting 1 guy. Long story short guy I stopped to help leaves and the 3 guys assault me. A couple of collapsed lungs, many broken bones, a pneumothorax, brain damage, frothing pink from the mouth because my lungs were full of blood and a couple of heart stops later mixed with cognitive issues. I lost my house, job, savings, 401k, every single thing I owned but a car. I wasn't good enough for my sister, and all but 5 of my closest friends. My wife stayed with me through it all and without her I would never made it. My remaining friends gave me hundreds of dollars, a registered and insured van, a new job, restored faith in humanity, and the support I needed to pick myself back up. All because of money. It taught me a very valuable lesson about people. You learn who is behind the curtain. When I realized that what he really wanted was to use me to break into my circle of friends and claim them for himself. Finding out they have an inner circle group chat but I'm the only one not in it. When my phone got stolen and I lost their phone numbers. Mine stayed the same, but we just never talked again. Like I suspect for a lot of people, getting divorced was a real eye-opener. I started with a core group of close friends who had all met in our late teens/early 20s and one of them introduced me to the woman who I would ultimately marry. Well into our 40s they were what I considered to be my family but when the divorce happened things spiraled. My best friend stuck with me, but his wife was the one who orchestrated things in our group and she was best friends with my ex. I was expecting the 2 of them to insulate for a while and I knew it was painful for my ex to be around me, so it was no surprise when I stopped getting invitations to cookouts etc. But then I noticed that the other members of the group were also avoiding/ignoring me. I'd see on Facebook that one of them came into my town to go to a concert for a band that they knew I liked and hadn't so much as texted. Birthdays rolled around and nobody would call. When my parents both died within a few months of each other and not a one of them reached out, I knew where I stood. My best friend needs to get credit though. Alone from all of them, he made a consistent effort to stay in touch and see me regularly. He was there when my parents died and through everything else, even though his wife clearly disapproved. I think finally, after this nonsense had been going on for several years, he told her how ridiculous it all seemed and that entire friend group tried to reconcile. I made it clear right from the start that there was no guarantee that I'd ever find space for them in my life again. This is all very apropos right now because they are having their first big post-COVID party in a couple weeks and I'm invited. People are coming in from all over the country and the only one I give a shit about seeing is my body.